Imagine yourself on a quiet night in an isolated place when suddenly you see something inexplicable in the sky. A strange light, something that shouldn't be there. What seemed like a simple distraction quickly turns into something so real, so close to your reality, something out of the ordinary. And before you know it, you are being abducted by beings from another world. It may seem like science fiction, but what follows are real stories, accounts of people who lived through alien encounters. These encounters with extraterrestrials are no longer just fantasy. They happened for real, and all over the world. Dozens of people have gone through experiences that defy any rational explanation. But what happened to them? How did these stories, seemingly absurd, start to unite, revealing a pattern of encounters and abductions? Across the planet, witnesses are sharing their accounts of being taken aboard alien ships, undergoing examinations, and often returning with little memory of what happened. From here, we start to understand that these encounters are not isolated events. In various places, people of different backgrounds and ages began reporting similar cases. Lights in the sky, mysterious figures, beings with strange characteristics, and a sense of emptiness and forgetfulness about what happened during the abduction. If you think this is fiction, know that there are documented records of these experiences, which many try to ignore. But what these people witnessed cannot be denied. In the next few minutes, you will hear some of the most impressive alien abduction stories and encounters with beings from other planets. Each one has common elements, but also their own peculiarities. In some cases, encounters happened in isolated moments, in remote places, while other stories occurred in the middle of urban centers, so clearly and powerfully that there is no way to deny what was lived. These stories are not just vague tales of fantasy. They are living testimonies given by people just like you and me, who went through something that changed their lives forever. For each story, there are details that catch the attention of experts, along with a growing number of people around the world who feel that in some way alien encounters are a real phenomenon and that their experiences are being ignored or underestimated. If you're as intrigued as I am about what's going on, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you don't miss any of the incredible revelations we're about to share in upcoming videos. Leave a like if you're ready to hear the most amazing alien abduction stories and comment below if you've had a similar experience or know someone who has lived through something unexplained. These real alien abduction stories are not just fictional tales. They are lived by people who, like us, faced something that defies our understanding of the universe. And while many try to avoid talking about it, the evidence is stacking up. The question that remains is, are we alone in this universe, or is there something more waiting to be revealed? Marta knew something was there in plain sight, but fear kept people from speaking. She felt like she had entered a world where the truth was being hidden on purpose, and no one was willing to reveal what was really going on. As she walked through the streets of Solanum Valley, people seemed to make a point of avoiding any conversation about the subject. Every time she tried to bring up the topic of abductions, the looks became uncomfortable, and the conversation was quickly diverted. At first glance, the town seemed peaceful, even welcoming with its old houses and quiet streets. But something about the place made Marta feel uneasy. There was something in the undertones, the whispered conversations, the furtive glances. The lights in the sky weren't just stories. They were living reports from locals who hadn't yet found the courage to speak out. These signals were everywhere, if you knew where to look. What Marta didn't know was that behind the fear and silence there was a disturbing truth waiting to be revealed. That night, Marta decided to take a bolder approach. She had heard rumors about a secret meeting taking place in a remote location, something that seemed like an attempt to hide the truth. The town was starting to feel less like a simple rural community and more like a stage for cover-up. She would need to infiltrate and uncover what was really going on. When she arrived at the location, an old abandoned building near the town center, Marta hid behind a wall, listening to the conversation inside. The sound of voices mixed with the soft night wind. Some words were clearer than others, but Marta heard enough to realize that something big was at play. They spoke of the cycle that was about to be completed, how people were preparing for what was to come, and most chilling of all, about abductions that would happen again. The cycle was about to repeat itself, and Marta could no longer ignore the opportunity to understand more. If you're as intrigued as Marta about what's happening in Solanum Valley, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned for more incredible revelations. We're getting closer to the truth and you don't want to miss it. She quietly left the meeting, but the words she'd heard echoed in her mind. Abductions, the cycle, and what else was behind this mystery? Was there anyone else like her, willing to uncover the truth? Or was fear so great that no one dared to speak? Back at her inn, Marta picked up her grandfather's papers that were scattered on the table. He had been a reserved man, but flipping through his writings, she found something that made her stop. Her grandfather had investigated the town and even mentioned being visited by something beyond what Marta had imagined. She didn't know where to begin, but the notes from her grandfather were taking on more relevance than ever. What he had known was buried in the yellowing pages of his diary, and Marta knew it was the key to understanding everything. Now, she just had to figure out what really happened in the past and what was about to unfold again. Don't forget to comment below what you think about these mysterious stories, and subscribe so you don't miss the next part of the journey. The answers are closer than ever, and you could be part of the discovery. Marta couldn't get the image of those words out of her head. The cycle is about to complete. What did that mean? What were the consequences of what was about to happen? More and more, she felt that what was going on in Solanum Valley went beyond just extraterrestrial encounters or abductions. There was something much deeper at play, something that people were trying to hide from everyone. As she went through her grandfather's notes, Marta discovered a pattern she hadn't noticed before. Her grandfather, who had always been reserved about his youth, had documented a series of strange events that had occurred in Solanum Valley over the years. But something that kept coming up in his notes seemed to point to one pivotal event, which he called the awakening. She would need to understand exactly what he meant by that. The night before, Marta had heard of a mysterious place that no one else seemed to want to talk about, the convergence point. She didn't know exactly where this place was, but she knew it was directly connected to what her grandfather had written in his journals. The convergence point wasn't just a spot on a map. It was a place where events, encounters, and even disappearances were connected in an inexplicable way. The fear of the people in Solanum Valley was growing as the time approached for what they called the cycle. But Marta could no longer just listen to rumors and collect information. It was time to act. The story her grandfather had started was becoming more relevant by the day, and the clues were in his journals. The next day, Marta would set out to find the convergence point. But she also knew that the journey wouldn't be easy. The city already viewed her with suspicion, and the deeper she went, the more dangerous things became. Would she really be ready to find out the truth? Or was what she was about to discover too much to handle? Before leaving, Marta went over the final details she had found in her grandfather's diary, which talked about strange lights in the sky and encounters with beings he called observers. But the most disturbing thing was what he wrote about the convergence point. He wrote, "There, everything meets, everything resolves. But at the same time, it is where everything begins again." Marta felt that these words were calling out to her, as if the very universe was waiting for her. Was she ready to face the truth? At dawn, Marta prepared for the journey that would change her life. She knew she could no longer delay finding the truth. The convergence point was closer than she thought. But with each step she took, the doubt and fear grew. How could she face something so big and complex? What would be required of her to ensure humanity's survival? And what would happen to the others, the ones not ready to accept the change? If you're also curious about what Marta will discover, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell. We're almost there, and the truth is about to be revealed. Leave your comment below about what you think is behind all of this. The mystery is growing, and soon everything will connect. Everything will. Marta felt the weight of her grandfather's words as she walked through the dense undergrowth surrounding the convergence point. The place was desolate, far from civilization. as if time itself had forgotten to pass there. But the feeling she had was different. This place was waiting for her. Every step she took seemed to echo in her mind, as if the ground beneath her feet was more than just earth. It was part of something much bigger, something she didn't yet understand. She knew the truth was here, right in front of her. The convergence point was not just a spot on the map. It was a place where destinies collided, where the answers to the mysteries haunting Solanum Valley were about to be revealed. But she also knew that what she was about to discover could change everything. Was she ready to face what was to come? More and more, Marta felt that the risk was too great, but the need to understand what was happening was even greater. As she approached the ancient circle of stones in the center of the clearing, Marta felt an increasing pressure in her chest. She didn't know what it was, but her intuition told her that there was something in the air, something invisible that was watching her, waiting for the right moment to act. The feeling was unsettling, but there was no turning back now. The journey she had started had already taken her too far. Now what remained was to find out what really happened in this town, in the skies, and in her own memories. When she reached the center of the clearing, Marta found a strange formation of stones arranged in a precise and mysterious way. They were covered with moss and seemed to have been made by human hands, but the design and fit of the stones seemed far older than any human construction. She stepped closer, feeling the energy in the air grow stronger as she neared the stones. It was as if the very space around her was shifting, like an invisible force was about to manifest. That was when a bright light shone in the sky above her. It wasn't the reflection of the sun or just any star. It was a light that pulsed, seemingly a ship descending toward the ground. What Marta felt was more than just an observation. It was a feeling of connection, as if this event was part of her fate. She was being watched, but now she knew she was no longer alone. If you're just as eager as Marta to discover what happens next, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned for more incredible revelations. We're getting closer to the truth and you don't want to miss it. The light from the object in the sky illuminated the clearing, making the stones around her glow. Marta stood still, her eyes fixed on what now seemed to be coming closer, but she couldn't move. Her mind was in shock, her breathing quickened. She knew the moment had arrived. The abduction, the encounters, the truth about the aliens and what they wanted was right in front of her. Marta was frozen. The intense light in the sky, which had seemed so distant and mystical before, was now directly above her. The alien ship, with its pulsating light and colors that defied any logical explanation, hovered in the air with an immense and inexplicable presence. There was no turning back now. What she was about to experience was no longer a theory or something she could simply ignore. It was real, very real, and she was part of it. The energy in the environment was becoming dense, almost palpable. Marta could feel every cell in her body reacting to this moment as if she were connected to something much greater. The stones around her began to glow softly, and the sound, previously silent, became a faint hum, as if the very earth was vibrating in tune with the phenomenon above her. Everything Marta had known up until now started to make sense. The things her grandfather had written, the abduction stories, the lights in the sky, everything was interconnected, and now she was the key to understanding the purpose behind it all. The ship descended slowly, and the light it emitted illuminated the clearing, creating a stark contrast between the darkness of the forest and the extraterrestrial glow. Marta knew this was the moment when all her questions would be answered, but it was also the most dangerous moment of her life. The words she had heard about the cycle completing began to make sense. The revelation was near. As the ship touched the ground, a sense of intense energy filled the space. Marta closed her eyes for a moment, feeling a wave of heat and electricity surround her body. When she opened them again, the ship had transformed into a towering presence, almost solid, yet still ethereal, as if it wasn't meant to be touched, only observed. It was something beyond this world, something that transcended reality as we know it. Marta was inside the ship, feeling a strange sensation of lightness, as if gravity had been softened, as if time itself were stretching and contracting at the same time. The beings around her moved in a smooth and fluid manner, with a grace that didn't seem human. There were no words, but Marta understood everything they needed to say. It was as if she were being prepared for something grand, something only she could carry out. The ship felt like it was in motion, but not in the way Marta imagined. There were no sounds from engines, no vibrations. Instead, it felt like being inside a vivid dream, where everything happened effortlessly, without resistance. It was a feeling of deep connection with the universe, the unknown, and even the people who had disappeared before her. Marta could sense the presence of all those who had been taken to this place. The figures before her were serene, but their large, penetrating eyes seemed to look directly into her soul. There were no words, but Marta felt as if they were telepathically communicating with her. The feeling was almost like a wave of knowledge and understanding that flooded her mind, clearing all her doubts. They were there to complete the cycle her grandfather had predicted. They were there to help humanity evolve to the next stage of its existence. But this evolution was not something simple, and certainly not without sacrifices. If you're as intrigued as I am about what Marta will discover, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. We're almost at the great revelation. Comment below if you think Marta holds the key to the truth, and don't forget to subscribe to stay updated on everything that's about to unfold. The ship had fully opened, and Marta was invited to enter. The fear and excitement mixed inside her. The curiosity was stronger. Was she ready to face the truth? The door opened slowly before her, and Marta took a step towards the unknown, her heart pounding. She knew that by entering that ship, she would not only discover the answers but also face the greatest challenge of her life. Now, the cycle was almost complete. Marta was about to make the choice that would shape the future of humanity and, perhaps, the very future of the planet. But what she didn't know was that this decision wouldn't only be about her, it would be about all of us. Don't miss the next chapters. Click the like button if you're as eager as Marta to find out what happens next, and subscribe now to join this journey that will undoubtedly change everything we know about the universe.